Hello everyone, Christian Shreve, bestboxingbets.com. We're talking about what happens behind the scenes, what happens from the money side, how we advise young fighters and people around fighters on what the deal is, and for those of us who are boxing bet predictors, sports investors, sports bettors, we're looking to see behind the scenes if something is wrong. Because if we see something is wrong, we know something's wrong over here, something's wrong is over here. And it begins to give us a picture on whether or not that fighter is going to be favored by the promoters. They're going to receive close decisions. They're going to get ripped off. We're going to get ripped off. So this is stuff that's important for everyone. And the title of this segment to the aspiring fighter who wants to become a professional is Separating You from Your Team. I am going to give the briefest of lectures. Throughout history, the herd mentality worked. If the whole group went this direction and you went that direction, you could be the one picked off by the bear or something. People stayed together for safety. And then you have multiple generations. You know, in the Italian culture, the older people are respected because of the wisdom, and you have counselors, consiglieres, people who can steer you around problems. Now in America, we grow up as what is commonly referred to as teenage little shits, where about the age of 11, the media, even Disney programs like that, oh, you're out of touch, you're over here, we're over here, you're over here. The interdependence of the different generations and not understanding where you're going to be down the road costs us dearly. There's a movement where people are trying to reconcile parents who go, I didn't respect my kids or my parents for 10 years. My kids don't respect me. It's called walking on eggshells. It's very good about handling this phenomenon we have in this culture. Well, we outgrow our childhood and become the adults that we're going to become, and we are going to make our own mistakes. But when you're a fighter, you have to be very careful because you pay with flesh and blood. Now that's why in the military, they need to break down your will so they can build you back in a team framework, so you can listen to somebody who may be in a tough situation in a firefight, will give you the advice that perhaps can keep you alive. Now, as a fighter, the money man frequently... Now, the money men who care about their fighter and their craft and things like that, they're not offended because they know who the leeches are. They know that they're not necessarily them. They know who they are, they know what they do, they know how it works. But for those of you who are young, the press is not your friend at all. At all. You can be the best fighter in the world and they're not your friend. There may be one you get along with. You'll know after you retire. And they're not going to tell you, because you can kick their butt, that that what they're doing is they're ripping you apart. They're ripping you apart. I remember trying to get some publicity, write an article for a jiu-jitsu guy who was trying to expand his school base. And I was talking to an Olympic wrestler named Mark, an Olympic champion, and he said, I'm not even sure I could talk to you. Now, this was a puff piece I was working on, but he had been burned so bad in the past. So the press isn't your friend, and we've talked about entourage and coordinating business, but what we need to do is we need to say that there is going to be a guy who comes to you if you're good, and he says, hey, your team's done great. Look at you, but you're ready to take that next step. Now, Kenny Weldon is a Texas-based boxing trainer who produces amateur national champions the way high schools produce varsity players routinely. And he sits down in his You Can Learn to Box video, which you can get from us on our site, and he talks for a minute on the promotional levels. Now somebody comes to a fighter, and say this fighter's been working with somebody since they were 6, and he says, look, this guy did great by you. He did great. We have a team, and if you work with us, we have these options. We can get you the bigger fights that you're looking for. We have other fighters. If you're going to move into the life, we have these trainers you should meet and see if you get along with, and we have people who can work for your corner, so you don't have to worry about it. You can worry about your craft. We have it set up for you, and you can come and work with us, and you can work with ours, and we can do it all together. Okay, what they're doing is trying to separate you. Now these things are true. You need a bigger camp. If you're a contender, you know, and you need to be working with the better people. That's true, but you need to be careful, and here's what you need to be careful about. People separating you from who protects you. Now, generally, outside of someone in your family, and that creates its own problems, but the trainer could make a living betting on fights, investing in them. They give up their objectivity to say that your style, whatever it is, to see how they can get you to where you need to be. They're with you as you're making weight, as you're working on your technical skill, making sure you show up, bothering you, harassing you, and haranguing you into becoming the best fighter that you can be. And if you lose, usually the brain trust wants to fire the trainer. This is a huge, massive mistake. Listen, when Mike Tyson became the most celebrated fighter and was making more money per bout than any fighter in history, people were saying, should they replace the designated trainer? His father figure, Cus D'Amato, had taught him what to do, and had a fighter who'd become a trainer named Kevin Rooney, who worked with Mike almost exclusively at that point. And Mike was encouraged to fire him. There was a line in the sand drawn, and Rooney made a mistake and said the wrong thing, and Mike fired him. From that moment, Mike went downhill technically, tactically. Whatever works to get you to that certain point, those are your people. Those are your people. Now, if they're not cutting it in some way, you have to decide, is this the right person? If they're not cutting it. But if somebody's coming in and they show up in your camp and resentment starts showing up and people start backbiting, you need to look at who the third party is. They say to have a fight, socially it said to have a fight you need a referee. There needs to be somebody getting things going. If your camp, if your environment starts turning into the Jerry Springer show, look who was most recently introduced before that happened. Somebody to keep things going. If you get a 19-year-old kid and you can give them the hot woman, and she's introduced to you by the promoter or by your social leader, man, you are in a fix. Because she's going to be close to you for a while. But her interests are predetermined, and they were determined before she met you. Before she met you. These are hard words. These are hard words. But this is a hard game. It's a hard game. And so you have to be sure that you don't get separated from your team. Your dad's around the camp, and he starts saying, man, I feel suspicious about this or this. You get the question answered. Now, this isn't necessarily going to turn into the De La Hoya camp where De La Hoya would just routinely fire people. My dad doesn't like him, he's out. And you start being seen as a villain. But if you have ties with someone, you don't change anything. That's why you get, from little league kids to major league champions who have a lucky pair of socks that they don't wash. And they'll end up in the drawer, and they will be stinky and sticky and stuck and gross. But whatever works, that's what they stay with. So you be very careful. Because as soon as you're separated from your team, that from management, when they can separate you from your family, from your trainer, from the people that you knew, and you believe that you caused this, that you decided on these things because you're standing up. No. Divide and conquer. Classic strategy. Divide and conquer. If you're with a new promotional interest, and within 6 weeks, the people that you trust, who you believe are going to be there no matter what, who don't seem at the core to be interested in the money, they're gone from you, get them back. Fight the battle in the beginning. Build the trust back with them. Bring them with you. They're going to be the people who are with you when it's over. I hope you understand what I'm saying. I hope you understand. As you become, as many of you go from teenagers into being what full-fledged adults are, it's not really about age. It's about experience. It's about experience. Your body's developed. Your skill set's developed. Let your mind be developed. Get the wisdom. Live by it. All right. Hope this helps you. I'm sure it shall. Christian Shreve, bestboxingbets.com. I'm Christian Shreve, and I'm here to tell you about why I think you should own my new book, Money Boxing, which is on sale now. Money Boxing has something for everyone, whether or not you know anything about boxing. You're about to receive a backstage pass into a world of glamour, corruption, and intrigue. And you're going to learn about the system, which is the only thing the casinos have had to fear in a long time. You can own Money Boxing by clicking on the link below now. I think you'll like it.